Daphnie Smith. There you are. Come on down. She is a distinguished entrepreneur, an educator, and a legal professional. Wow. Nice. Known for her commitment to empowering businesses, communities, she holds multiple degrees, including 4 doctorate level. I did one and almost killed me. Thank you. Wow. And her work is focused on expanding opportunities for minority-owned businesses, particularly in government contracting. Wow, I am so impressed. Take it.
Hello, everyone. I know we are all tired. We've had a long day. Can we agree? Yeah. But a great day. Great speakers, great information. Everybody looks fabulous. So, you too. Thank you. So, as she said, I'm a very busy person. So, before I got here this morning, my phone was not ringing. And then as soon as I got in here, all the calls started coming. So I was not ignoring anyone if you see me going in and out, just busy. So we will get into this presentation. I'll tell you a little bit about how I got involved with government contracting.
Microphone.
Oh, is that better? Okay. To me, I sound like I'm loud. Okay. Okay.
I can hear you better.
So I got into government contracting over a decade ago. It's been almost 15 years now. I worked as an investigator. I had this dream. I was going to be a prosecuting attorney. So I was like, oh, I'll get into investigations. Then I'll go to law school. I'll do prosecuting attorney. Well, I moved to Memphis, Tennessee. And Memphis investigations broke me in quickly. I was like, no, don't want to do anything with criminal law or family law. People are crazy. I don't want to deal with all of that. I actually got a really bad investigation where a little 8-year-old girl was gang raped by 5 guys. And I was one of the first to arrive on the scene. And as you can imagine, it was a gruesome scene. From that moment forward, I wanted to know what the government did with blighted properties, overgrown properties, abandoned houses and buildings, because that's where it happened. It was a street of overgrown, blighted area. The properties, the grasses were out of control. It was about 6 to 8 foot tall grass along that whole street. Vacant houses, and that's what happens when you have a lot of investors that come in, they buy properties in other states, they don't maintain them. Hence, that's what happens. So I began searching, like, what do they do? What do they do with these properties? What do they do to the property owners that, you know, abandon these properties, don't take care of them? And so I went and I requested to be with the mayor's office. Like, hey, I'm working this investigation. I've got to find everybody that this was involved in this situation. And I want to know how I can get involved to help. So they said, well, we only have 5 contractors, but about 30,000 blighted properties. Well, that math doesn't make sense to me, so why don't you open it up to let other people become vendors and contractors so we can help prevent this from happening to another child again. So I wrote a proposal. They accepted my proposal. So I was excited. I was like, okay. So I called my parents and I'm like, all right, I'm going to start doing grass and mitigation and boarding up vacant houses and buildings. And my parents was like, wait a minute, we just finished paying for law school. You're about to finish. What do you mean you don't even like outside like that. You've never mowed grass a day in your life. So what do you mean you're about to start a lawn care business? I was like, well, just listen to my plan. I have an action plan of what's going to happen. And so my dad was one to always be like on board, like, whatever she wants, just let her do it. My mom is more like, no, it has to make sense or I'm not agreeing to it. So my dad's like, we're gonna try it. So I was like, Daddy, I need one of your trucks, I need a trailer, I need some zero turns, and we're gonna start this business. So I get my first government contract. Meanwhile, I'm still working in corporate America, and I'm like, well, how am I gonna make this happen? But as women, we all know we make it happen. By any means necessary, we multitask and we make it happen. So I got that first contract. And then when I seen that first contract was in less than 6 weeks what I made in a year, I was like, let me shift my thinking process. Let me dig deeper into this to see how I can really get involved and grow and expand. So that's how I started my journey to contracts, corporate and government contracts. They procure all services, everything that you can imagine. So they're the biggest consumers. So they buy everything, goods and services, to the chair you're sitting in, paper, pens, everything. Because the government, they're not making stuff. So they want to buy from people that look like you and I. So that's how I started. So we'll get into what it takes to become a vendor to start government contracts. This is my contact information. If anyone wants to reach out, I love to do consultations with anyone, walk you through the process. Through this journey, I also started a business academy where I help people get into the government sector, corporate sector, to learn how to become a vendor, contractor, get contracts. And here we go. So there's different types of government contracts. You have the local level, state, federal, and international level. I started first on the local level within my city. I started with city and county contracts, stayed there for a little while, and then advanced on up. So I'm now licensed in 9 states and 3 countries. Pursuing becoming a vendor. First, we all know you're going to have a lot of questions about what it takes to become a vendor. You want to get as much information about the process as possible and identify who you want to do business with. If you want to do business with the city of Chicago, the city of New Orleans, Texas is a great one for women. I'll just throw that out there. Texas and Florida have a lot of money for women. So identify who you want to do business with, if you want to provide them a service or if you're going to provide goods. Like, what do you want to do when you get involved with them? That information is always typically found on government websites. Sometimes you have to dig a little deeper to find exactly who to connect with and how to get registered, but it's always going to be on their websites. It's not a quick approval process because we are dealing with government. So nothing pertaining to government is quick. Ask questions about things that you don't know. Never assume with government or corporate. Always ask questions. Regardless if you think it's a silly question, if you think it's a crazy question, always ask. Because if your information is not entered correctly on that application, it will kick it out the system, and guess what? You have to start all over again, which is not fun. Requirements for government contracts are strenuous. Of course, it's going to be different from residential and mostly commercial because you're dealing with corporate and government entities. So they're going to want at least $1 million general liability policy. If you are transporting anything, if you're delivering paper products, dog and cat food, there was a $2 million contract that went out a few months ago for ordering dog and cat food for animal shelters. Who in here can sit and click and order dog and cat food all day long for $2 million? I can. Pick me. Workers' compensation insurance, that's going to vary based on your state. Tennessee, where our home base is, it's required if you have over 5 employees. However, depending on the entity that you're doing business with, they may require it regardless of how many employees you have. So it varies from state to state. Umbrella policy. In addition to the $1 million general liability, commercial auto policies, some require a $2 million umbrella policy. Now, don't let these numbers scare you off, because oftentimes you can find really good rates. Even though it's $1 million and $2 million, you may only pay a couple $100 for insurance. You have to have a business license. Your business has to be registered with the Secretary of State, and you have to provide all of your documentation for that. You'll want to have a Dun & Bradstreet number, because they're going to check your profile. So there's a lot of things that go into getting registered as a vendor. References. Getting into government contracts, you want to make sure you have good references. People that can validate your character, who you are, if you've provided services for them, and if they would recommend you to do business on that level. And you have to think big when you think about government. So you may make the best cakes and pies for her. And she's like, oh, I love cookies, I love her cakes, I love her pies. But when you think of government, you have to think if they are doing a function and they're hosting 5,000 people. Can you make enough cookies to cover 5,000 people for this function? And then 2 days later, another 5,000 for another function. So think large scale. It's also very important to do networking events and build relationships. Know who can get you where you want to go. I'm always wanting to know who's in charge, who can answer the questions, and who can get me to where I want to go, because I don't have a lot of time to waste. I'm busy. I want to know who's going to get me the biggest bang for my buck. So when I go to the networking functions, I'm very strategic. I'm very purposeful. Like, I'm going to connect with someone that has something that I'm interested in. The bidding process. With those contracts, it's always going to be a bidding process. They want the lowest, best bid. So, not necessarily the lowest, but the lowest, best bid. Because the lowest bid may be too low, and then they start to wonder, can they do this service for $5,000 and everybody else is at $50,000? What am I going to get for $5,000? So just because you have the lowest bid does not guarantee that you'll win the contract, because it may not be the best bid. Understanding how to read those packets, understand what they are wanting, what they're asking for. If it is a mandatory bid meeting, mandatory means you have to be at that bid meeting or you're not going to be able to bid on that contract. So it may be that Dr. Bell can provide the best consulting services for the city of Chicago, but if she missed that pre-bid meeting and she's not there, she won't be able to submit her bid packet. Codes are the most important. You have to have the right codes to go to your profile. And there's a variety of codes. Different cities have different codes. Different states have different codes. It won't always be the same. All the codes are not universal all the time. Particularly, one city we're registered in Memphis, is Memphis has 2 governments. Why? I don't know. The city's not that large that they need 2 mayors, but hey, we do. So we have city government, we have county government. They're totally different. The codes are totally different, and that causes a lot of confusion for people that don't know. They'll say, oh, I'm registered as a vendor with the city, and then they come over to the county and they put those same codes in and they never get a bid. And they're like, well, I'm registered, but I don't even get the bid notifications. It's because their profiles are set up incorrectly. And when I first started, it happened to me as well, because I was new. I was just excited, like, oh, I want to help change lives. I don't want anybody else to get raped or molested or harmed in any way. Like, I'm excited. Let me get in here and do some work. Well, not me do work, but my workers do work. I was like, I'm not getting the notifications. And so I'm like, I don't take no for an answer. Let me go back to the mayor's office. So like, hey, I'm set up, but I'm not getting any notifications. And so then I sat down with the contract specialist, and he said, no, your profile's not set up correctly. You need to put these codes in. And I was thinking, well, it's just grass. How complex can it be? And he's like, very complex, because grass did not fall under grass. I had everything that said grass, lawnmower, seeding, sodding, anything to do with grounds maintenance. That code was on my profile, and I still did not get a notification. Who in here can guess what it fell under?
Was it grounds or something?
Close. It wasn't dirt. It came under construction. As soon as I added that construction code, instantly, about an hour later, notifications started coming through. So construction covers everything. Like, it covers ground maintenance, it covers landscaping, lawn service, debris removal. So I was like, oh, when I think construction, I'm thinking building or tearing down, demo, something, heavy equipment. I tried to let my guys let me swing the wrecking ball, but they won't. I don't know. Yeah. So make sure you have codes. If you don't know, when you're working with that specialist, ask them, do these codes match what I'm trying to do? Because if they don't, you won't get those notifications. Certifications. So, some people that went before me talked about all the changes that are going on right now. So there are several certifications. A lot of them have been put on hold right now, but they are very important for your business. If your city or the government or corporate still offer them, I would say go ahead and still get your business registered and certified, because they're probably going to be reestablished. Because it not only helps you, the business owner, it helps the companies, and they're losing a lot of money as well because they get big tax breaks from using certified businesses. So they want them back just as much as you do. So I would say go ahead and get them. There's a long list. They have women-owned business, minority-owned business, and guess what? As a woman, you qualify for both of them, which a lot of people don't understand the language when it comes to minority-owned business. I think they think it's a skin color thing when it's not. It's more gender-based, as well as skin color, heritage, culture, those things, but it's a variety of things. So make sure you're knowledgeable about what it really means. Like, I have people all the time say, oh, well, has DEI affected your business? And I'm like, no, it hasn't. Like, not at all. Like, it hasn't affected me because I know business. And to me, business doesn't have a color or a gender. It's business. So if you know your business, then you know how to go in and you know how to do what needs to be done. So I would say get those certifications. Types of certifications, we just briefly went into that. I won't go into all of those because, like I said, it's a list of them, but I'd be happy to send those out to everyone that wants to know the specific certifications. And the wait is over. You won the contract, you got registered as a vendor, you're here. Now what do? I always tell people, don't get comfortable with always thinking you're going to have that contract. Most government contracts are going to be 3 years, so it gives you that time to look for other things, bid on new things, and you can establish your revenue and help grow your business. Keep the same momentum from start to finish. Let your work speak for itself. Always do a good job. If you say you're going to do it, do it. Be where you're supposed to be. Do what you're supposed to do. Continue to bid on various contracts and know what you're good at. Know your niche. Never take on more work than you can handle, because with the government, it's hard to get a government contract. But when you get it, they want to keep you if you're doing a good job. Don't mess that up. Always provide excellent service. Like I said, keep your word. Know your contract terms backwards and forwards, terms and conditions. It protects you, it protects your business, it helps protect them. And if they breach your contract, know your contract, say, hey, this is not in the contract. Or if they're asking you to do something that's not in the contract, hey, we can do that, but we need to add an addendum to the contract to make sure you get paid. Never start working before you have everything in writing, because the government will say net 30 and you may get paid in net 90. Make sure you have your contract, and always be honest, have integrity, and be professional. So that is it. We have maybe about a minute left. Any questions, comments, concerns from anyone? Any questions? I'll take a couple questions. Oh, she said I was right on time. But if anyone wants to talk to me afterwards, it went off. I was going to go back to my contact information if anyone wants to follow up with me. I love to speak with you all. Okay.
Do you have any business cards?
I have my digital card. I'll be glad to let you scan it. Thanks, everyone.